Will just let it go.
No, baby. He started this. Now I'm gonna finish it.
Mrs. Robertson and her daughter, Wendy.
Damn!
Those are your baby shoes?
Well, yeah, I had big feet.
You know what they say about a guy with big feet?
No, what?
They be saying, damn, you got some big feet.
4 loved ones to create enough psychic energy to reach Trevor. So, what do you guys say?
Thank God I'm not a loved one. I promise.
Trust me. Aunt Viv, I don't think so. See, this is the same dude that said a squirrel ate that 6-pack of Milky Ways. How come he don't want me, man?
I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, you're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel-Air.
It's been discussed for 25 years. It's insane. I said, I have a family. I need you to tell the world that this stuff didn't happen.
The set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wasn't always as sunny as that theme song made it seem. While the cameras were rolling and the laughs were flowing, there was some serious behind-the-scenes drama you wouldn't believe. Oh yes, the cast was hiding some juicy secrets that'll have you side-eyeing your favorite episodes in a whole new way. Let's kick things off with something I bet you didn't know. Did you know The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is actually based on someone else's life?
While I'm gone, I want you to do everything your Uncle Philip says.
Not Will Smith's? Yeah, shocking, right? People often think the show was a fun twist on Will's real life, mainly because the character's name is, well, Will Smith. But there's more to that story. Will shared in his memoir that it was his co-star Alfonso Ribeiro who gave him some game-changing advice. Alfonso pulled Will aside and was like, listen, man, make sure your character has your real name, because that's what everyone's going to call you forever. And boy, was he right. Can you even imagine calling him anything else? If the show had flopped, though, well, let's just say Will Smith might have been the name tied to a major TV disaster.
Bells ringing, money flowing. We are certainly not in Kansas anymore.
Now, where did this whole show concept come from? It all started with music manager Benny Medina. Back in 1990, he and his partner Jeff Pollock pitched a TV show inspired by Benny's life. Growing up in East LA, Benny's world flipped upside down when he moved in with a rich white family in Beverly Hills. Sound familiar? He knew he had a golden story, but didn't want to retell the same old trope of a black kid living with a white family. So he switched it up, replacing that rich white family with a wealthy black one. The goal? Dive deep into class differences and social prejudices within the black community. And boom, The Fresh Prince was born. But wait, it gets even crazier. Believe it or not, Will Smith didn't jump into The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air just for fame or fun. Nope, it was all about dodging the IRS.
Like I spent all my money. And I didn't forget, but I didn't pay the IRS.
That's right. Our Fresh Prince wasn't chilling out, maxing, or relaxing when he signed on. He was knee-deep in debt, owing a massive $2.8 million in back taxes after his rap career alongside DJ Jazzy Jeff hit a rough patch. See, back when their album He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper went triple platinum,
He's the DJ, I'm the rapper.
Will thought he was set for life. He splurged on cars, clothes, and all the luxury a young star could dream of. But there was one little thing he forgot to handle: his taxes.
We released our next album, and it was like a flop. It was a tragedy. It went like double plastic.
And when their follow-up album flopped hard, things got real tight real fast. On a random trip to the Arsenio Hall show, Will's girlfriend suggested he tag along, and that's where he crossed paths with Benny Medina.
So I went to the Arsenio Hall show, and I met a dude named Benny Medina. And Benny Medina is the real-life Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I meet Benny, and he pitches me the idea for this show, and I'm like, I'm not an actor. I'm like, cool. And he says, hey, I want you to meet Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is producing with me.
After hearing about Benny's TV show idea, Will wasn't exactly thrilled. After all, he had never acted before. But fast forward to a wild party at Quincy Jones's house, and Will found himself auditioning on the spot.
So Benny walks me in and introduced me to Quincy. I'm like, hey, Q, what's up, man? He's like, hey, man, you know, I saw your music videos. I love what you're doing. Tell me your rap name again. They call me the Fresh Prince. All right, good. That's what we're going to call the show. And he handed me a screenplay for a failed Morris Day pilot. Like, I don't have the time. So I need you to do this. I'm not ready to do no audition. And he's like, oh, all right. Well, what you need? Tell me what you need. Just set the meeting for a week, or you could take 10 minutes right now and you can change your life forever. I was like, get there. Yes, give me 10 minutes.
Will impressed the head of NBC so much that they drew up a contract in a limo right outside.
That's his lawyer, Quincy. Leave that man alone. And Quincy turned to me and he was like, hey, Will, you got a lawyer? Quincy, I'm broke. If I had a lawyer taking 5%, he'd owe me money right now. He had been tasting. He had wet his beak a little bit that night. Yeah, so the lawyers go out in the limo and they're drawing up the first deal for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Quincy is like popping up at the windows, no paralysis, do analysis. I was like, how did he make Thriller like this? We signed the basic deal for the Fresh Prince, and 3 months later, we were shooting the pilot, and that's the story of how I became the Prince of Bel-Air.
But the IRS allegedly took 70% of his paycheck for the next 3 years. So yeah, Will got his fresh start, but it was Uncle Sam who cashed in first. I bet that wasn't a funny time for him. And let me tell you, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air writer's room wasn't all fun and games either. In fact, it was a total nightmare. According to a 2017 profile of writer Jenji Kohan by The New Yorker, the writer's room on Fresh Prince was anything but fresh. Kohan described the environment as a toxic mess, filled with constant fights, insane hours, and staff dynamics that were downright chaotic. To make matters worse, Will Smith's bodyguard and cousin were part of the writing team, adding to the tension and constant clashing. Oh, and let's not forget the cruel pranks. They were so bad that one time, someone even peed in a co-worker's tequila bottle. As if that wasn't enough, Kohan, who was one of only 2 female writers and the sole white woman, was given an inappropriate nickname that targeted both her race and religion. Yikes! It's safe to say that behind the scenes, things were way messier than what we saw on screen. And if you thought the writer's room was messy, wait until you hear about the drama between the cast. The most infamous feud was between Will Smith and Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv might have been Will's biggest on-screen supporter, but off-screen, these two clashed harder than the Lannisters.
I think he was young and he was inexperienced, and I think he simply had to win.
Janet Hubert didn't return for season 4, sparking all kinds of rumors about why she left. Some said she was fired because Will thought she was difficult to work with. And the gossip only grew louder as she and Will allegedly didn't speak for years after. According to Alfonso Ribeiro, who played Carlton on the show, the cast was like one big family, except for Janet.
Had an absolute amazing time working with Will, with Tatiana, and James, and Karen, and everybody was great. First mom, not so much. Long story short, and there were days when we were on the set and she would literally go off on people, and it got to a point by the time the second season came around where we're like, this is unacceptable. We felt like when we were doing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that we were a family.
But Janet Hubert says that was all a lie.
Janet Hubert was never difficult on that set. Janet Hubert was so professional, it wasn't even funny. I think Will simply needed to win, and I think sometimes when you get caught up in a lie, and those things never happened. She never left the set, I never left the set. And I went back to them in 2009 and I said, please, I need you to clear my name. I spoke to JL when my dad died and my brother died, and I begged them. I said, I have a family. I need you to tell the world that this stuff didn't happen. And I was waiting in my heart thinking somebody will come to me one day and help me, but they didn't.
When Daphne Maxwell Reid stepped into the role of Aunt Viv, fans noticed something else. The character herself changed drastically. The fierce, ambitious Aunt Viv that people had come to love was suddenly sidelined.
Did you ask your wife to calm down?
Calm yourself, Barney Fife.
The new Aunt Viv seemed far more passive, with little involvement in the major storylines. She was no longer the driving force in her children's lives. And she even quit teaching, opting to stay at home and take a back seat. Her spark was gone, and rather than encouraging Phil's political aspirations, she seemed almost tired of it. The one fiery, no-nonsense Vivian Banks had turned into a more subdued background character. a change that didn't sit well with many fans. But things finally took a turn in 2020. After years of bad blood, Hubert and Will finally sat down for a heart-to-heart in an NPR interview.
I felt like you hated me.
She revealed that she wasn't fired as people believed. She was offered a deal that didn't work for her, and when she refused, the producers recast her with Daphne Reed. To make matters worse, she was going through personal struggles, including an abusive marriage at the time, which only added to the tension. She opened up about all the difficulties she faced during that period.
You took all that away from me with your words. You know, words can kill. But I lost everything, reputation, everything. And I understand you were able to move forward, but you know those words, calling a Black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. It's the kiss of death. And it's hard enough being a dark-skinned Black woman in this business. But I felt it was necessary for us to finally move forward.
While Will admitted he was struggling to handle his rapid rise to fame and regretted how things played out. It was a moment of healing. But for fans, it was like watching two titans finally bury the hatchet after decades of drama.
I could not do a 30-year celebration of this show and not celebrate you. Celebrate your contribution to this show, celebrate your contribution to my life.
I mean, you.
Now, after all the behind-the-scenes chaos, you might think The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was all laughs, right?
Uncle Phil, I'll get you in one later.
But nope, this show could hit you right in the feels, too. In the tear-jerking episode, Papa's Got a Brand New Excuse, Will's character had to face his father who had been gone for 14 long years. The reunion sparks tension between Will and Uncle Phil, and things get heated when Will's dad disappoints him again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Will.
What came next was totally unscripted. Will poured out all the hurt and frustration, talking about being abandoned by his dad. And it wasn't just acting. The pain he showed was real, and it hit everyone hard. Now, some people think that Will ad-libbed that moment because his own dad left him, but here's the truth. Will actually had a pretty good relationship with his dad. His parents just wanted him to go to college instead of rapping. So the reason that scene hits so hard, it's all because of Will's raw talent as an actor. He ad-libbed those lines, sure, but it wasn't about his real life. He was just that good. In fact, the entire audience was crying, and it became one of the most emotional moments in TV history. But it was all thanks to James Avery.
You know, he was off because we were rehearsing and everything. So, and then it comes to the moment and we're in the scene together, right? So we're doing it and I'm messing up the lines because I want it so bad. And we're in front of the audience and I'm doing it and I'm furious. And he holds on me, he says, hey, he's like, relax. It's already in there. You know what it is. He was like, look at me, use me. Don't act around me, act with me. He's like, so he's talking me through it and everything, so I get it together. So I do the scene and, you know, the thing, and he hugs me at the end. And while he's hugging me, he whispers in my ear, he said, that's fucking acting right there.
Just when we thought we couldn't love Uncle Phil more, the real-life bond between James Avery and the cast makes us appreciate him even more.
We've been very blessed, and I don't know if our careers are going to continue, we're going to do other things, but this has been the best experience in terms of a TV show, in terms of people and friends.
One of the most heartwarming aspects of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the strong bond that developed among the cast and crew. From the very beginning, the ensemble treated each other like family, which translated beautifully to their on-screen chemistry. Will Smith often referred to his co-stars as siblings, and that familial spirit fostered an environment where everyone felt supported. Sadly, in 2013, James Avery passed away, leaving a huge hole in the hearts of not just the fans, but the entire Fresh Prince family. Everyone who worked on the show had nothing but the highest praise for James.
The glue that held us together in his own eccentric way.
James was a big teddy bear.
For me, he was a teacher.
He wasn't just their on-screen dad. He was a father figure in real life, too.
This is my daughter. You mess with her, you mess with me. I will hurt you, okay?
Will Smith, in particular, often spoke about how much James meant to him.
He was a massive rock of a man physically, spiritually, and emotionally.
Even after all these years, Uncle Phil's presence is still deeply felt. He wasn't just the tough yet loving dad we saw on TV. He was that and so much more behind the scenes. Now, on a lighter note, did you know Will Smith once asked Karen Parsons, who played Hillary Banks, out? Yep, even the Fresh Prince himself couldn't resist shooting his shot. In his memoir, Will revealed that during the early days of the show, he tried to get Karen to go out with him. But thankfully, Karen shut it down quick.
If I had to choose, all right? Well, you know, it's like, leave me alone!
And honestly, it was probably for the best. Imagine how awkward things could have gotten on set if things didn't work out. Also, imagine if they had worked out.
Okay, everybody, guess what?
Maybe he won't have had to go through the entanglements in his life. But let's not go there. Will himself admitted later that Karen was right to say no. Keeping things platonic allowed them to build a better working relationship. So while Will may have been a bit bummed at the time, it all worked out in the end. Speaking of things that almost didn't work out, did you know The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was actually canceled after season 4? Yep, NBC pulled the plug after airing the episode The Philadelphia Story in 1994, thinking it would be the series finale. Fans were devastated, but there was so much love for the show that fans started sending letters to both NBC and Will Smith, practically begging for more. And guess what? The network couldn't ignore the overwhelming response. The fan mail worked. NBC decided to bring the show back, giving us 2 more seasons.
Hillary, Trevor wasn't cremated.
Ew, then who's this?
But by the time they got to season 6, Joseph Marcel, the iconic Jeffrey Butler, announced he was heading back to the UK. That's when the rest of the cast realized it was time to say goodbye for good. Interestingly, the showrunners actually wrote the finales of seasons 3, 4, and 5 as potential farewell episodes, just in case the show didn't get picked up again. But season 6, that was it. Everyone knew the end was coming. Even though the ratings had dipped by the last season, it's safe to say the show left an unforgettable mark on TV history. And just when you thought The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was firmly locked in the vault of TV classics, think again. Will Smith once joked that a reboot of the show would happen pretty close to when hell freezes over. But surprise, surprise, fast forward to 2019, and the idea of a reboot wasn't so far-fetched after all.
Yo, Uncle Phil! I'm glad you're safe. We'll talk later.
It all started when filmmaker Morgan Cooper dropped a fan-made trailer for a darker, more dramatic version of the show titled Bel-Air.
Will!
Aunt Viv! 10 years is a long time.
Let me show you around.
Where them dimes at?
Hillary.
The trailer blew up online, catching the attention of none other than Will Smith himself. He was so impressed that he jumped on board to make the reboot a reality. By 2020, streaming giants like Netflix, HBO Max, and NBC's Peacock were fighting to snag the show. Peacock came out on top, and on September 8, 2020, they gave Bel-Air a 2-season order. Fast forward to today, and fans are eating it up. Now in its 3rd season, Bel-Air has managed to take the beloved characters and give them a fresh modern twist while still holding on to the heart of the original. Fans are absolutely loving it, and it's safe to say this reboot has exceeded expectations.